Hello friends, welcome back to Decider. Today we're diving into a fascinating topic, the countries where Americans are not welcomed. As we know, travel can be a rewarding and life-changing experience. But there are some places in the world that remain largely off limits for U.S. citizens due to political tensions, security risks, and diplomatic struggles. Whether you're an avid traveler or simply curious about why certain nations restrict access, this video is for you. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Decider and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more informative content. 1. North Korea. Arguably the most isolated and secretive country in the world. For decades, North Korea's relationship with the U.S. has been strained, and it has only worsened over time. Americans are currently banned from visiting North Korea under most circumstances. This travel ban came into effect after the tragic case of Otto Warmbier, a young American who was arrested during a guided tour and sentenced to years of hard labor for allegedly attempting to steal a propaganda poster. Sadly, Otto was returned to the U.S. in a coma and passed away shortly after. Since then, U.S. citizens are only allowed to enter North Korea with special permission from the U.S. State Department, typically for journalistic or humanitarian purposes. This harsh reality has made North Korea one of the most difficult countries for Americans to visit, with little hope of change in the near future. 2. Iran, a nation rich in history and culture, but notoriously difficult for Americans to explore. Since the Iranian Revolution, relations between the U.S. and Iran have been strained, with sanctions, nuclear disputes, and political hostility shaping the modern-day landscape. While it's still possible to travel to Iran, Americans must adhere to strict regulations. You'll need to be part of a guided tour, as independent travel for U.S. citizens is not allowed. The visa process is lengthy and requires a detailed itinerary that must be approved by the Iranian government. 3. Yemen, a country that has been in a state of ongoing war for years. Yemen's political situation has become extremely unstable, with violent conflict and a severe humanitarian crisis. The U.S. State Department has issued a Level 4 travel advisory, urging Americans not to visit Yemen due to terrorism, civil unrest, and health risks. The country is under the control of various militant groups, making it dangerous for any foreigner. For Americans, securing a visa is nearly impossible, and the threat of kidnappings or violence is too high to consider traveling. 4. Syria, a country that has been ravaged by civil war for years. The Syrian conflict has devastated large parts of the country, and although it is home to ancient cities like Damascus and Aleppo, the ongoing war has left much of its historical and cultural heritage in ruins. For Americans, traveling to Syria is highly discouraged, as the risks are immense. Terrorism, kidnappings, and armed conflict are everyday threats in this war-torn nation. Even if you manage to obtain a visa through a third-party country, the reality on the ground makes it one of the most dangerous destinations for U.S. citizens. The tragic loss of life and the humanitarian crisis in Syria are reasons enough to avoid this country entirely. 5. Russia, a country that once welcomed tourists from all over the world, but is now largely closed off to Americans due to political tensions. Following the invasion of Ukraine, relations between the U.S. and Russia have deteriorated significantly. The U.S. government has imposed sanctions, and Russia has responded with increased surveillance and restrictions on foreign visitors. Americans traveling to Russia now face risks such as arbitrary law enforcement and limited access to consular services. While Russia remains culturally and historically significant, it has become an increasingly hostile environment for U.S. citizens. If you want to watch more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to Decider and hit the notification bell so you never miss our latest content.